Guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a helix. So what it basically is you start off with a single, and in the end you end up with an effect that looks like a ladder that's wrapped around it. Now it's done a little bit different than you would a traditional ladder, because you can see all the segments are individual and they actually do not connect on the sides like you would with a ladder. So what you're going to need is enough beads to go around your wrist. So I use 32 beads because that's what I normally wear with my candy cuffs, and I like it to be a little bit loose. I don't want it to be extremely tight on the wrist. So that's something to think about when you make it. And then you're going to need to choose what color that you want to go around it. You can have it be a solid color, you can make it striped, whatever you want. On this one I did half translucent sparkly beads and the other part opaque pony beads. So it's really up to you. I haven't decided what I'm going to use for the colors over here yet, but you're also going to need elastic beading cord. I would recommend the type that has cloth on it. This is the only kind of beading cord I have currently, so that's what I'm going to use. It's just when you're tying the knots, the elastic, the plastic doesn't really stick that well when you try to tie the knots. It will slip sometimes or not tie fully if you don't pull it tight enough. So that's why I choose to use the fabric cord, because it stays together a little bit better. But you're going to be tying like quite a bit of knots, and at the end it kind of looks a little bit funny, but it's just like a little bit of tweaking will help you figure out how to do this. So I saw a picture online of this like a year or two ago, and at the time I couldn't figure out how to do it, but now I have. But so I don't know who originally made it, I don't know where it came from, but I'm just gonna call it a helix for the simple fact that it is a spiral and it goes around something. And if I'm gonna make a tutorial, it's gotta have some kind of name, right? So what you're also going to need is you're going to need some kind of clamps or something. These are just like ones that I will use for if I need to do like wire wrap and hold something, or I don't know, whatever I want to use them for. So that's why I have these, and they're going to go on the ends with our singles. But you can also tape down your ends. You can tie a knot around an extra bead so your beads don't fall off your string. And we're going to make this with 2 pieces of string. You're going to start off with 1 piece of string that will fit around your wrist and have about 2 to 3 inches on the tail end of it, because we make it laying out flat and wrap around it, and then we tie it together as a single at the very end. So you're going to need some tail end so your beads don't fall off and you have room to tie together. And then you're going to need a secondary piece of string, which is going to be 1.5 to 2 times the length of that string. Once you have your 2 pieces of string, we're going to take our first piece and we're going to take 32 beads of whatever color you want to be your base, which is going to be how the black is in this one, how it goes around. That's what your base is. I'm going to probably use some gold sparkly beads, because I've had them forever. You're just going to string them on like you normally would for a single. Once you have your 32 beads, slide them into the middle, match up your ends so it is towards the middle, and then we're going to lay it out flat. And take your excess, your other string, and lining up the ends here. And we're going to tie a knot on the end of this. And so how we're going to do that, we're not going to tie them like around each other, we're going to wrap around your finger. And then we're going to go through the loop. Both ends of the string through the loop. And what this is going to do is it's going to tie those ends together, so when we are beading, we don't lose one string. So that gets knotted, and then you can pull the end so your single matches up to it. And take one of your clamps or your tape or your extra bead or whatever you're using, clamp it there so your beads don't fall off. And then we're going to grab this end with your other I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. With the other string, but we're gonna leave our big string that we're gonna weave around with over to the side, and we're gonna take our other clamp, and on the side with the string on the bead, just put your clamp on there, or just tape it down there. So clamp 2 strings on this side and 1 string on this side, and that's gonna give you a row with your clamps on it, and you pull your string out. Also, make sure that your end of your string here, that where your knot was and where your clamps are, is on this side and not on the other side of your clamp, because then you're going to weave around your clamp and that's going to be bad. So now that we've got the string, you're going to have to determine how many beads you want your ladder to be. You can really do anything. Because I'm doing 32, I'm going to do an even number of beads, but you can do an odd number of beads, whatever you want to do. On this one, I did 32 and I did 3, and I had an extra bead on the end of it, which it doesn't really matter, but if you want to keep it even and use up all the beads, then you should stick with even or odd, depending on whatever you're using for your single. So the basic principle of this is you're going to add on whatever color you want to use. Actually, I'm not going to use this. I'm going to use green. Probably green and orange, since I have so many of those. So I'm going to use 4 on my rows. But if you wanted to use 3, if you wanted to use 2, if you wanted to use 6, it doesn't really matter. As long as you've got your string on the outside of it, you're not going through the first bead, you're not going through anywhere, it's just outside. Because I have 4 beads, I have to go up 4 beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So we're gonna string through this bead, through the bead next to it, and the bead next to it. Do not go out the last bead. So we're basically stringing through 3 beads and leaving the last one alone. If you were doing 3 beads, then you would start on the 3rd bead and go through 2 beads. If you were on the 6th bead, you would string down through 5 beads. So we string through our 3 beads. Which gives you something that looks like this, a little loop on this side. And what's going to happen is, the reason that we didn't go through the last one is because this will now allow our new layers to go up a step. So it's like one layer starts here, one layer starts here, and it starts making an effect where they start laying on top of each other, and that's where you get the swirl from. Because if you see, that's going up 1 more bead, and that goes up 1 more bead, so it begins a step ladder. And because they can't all stay straight up, they start to spiral around. So for a yellow, we're going to do 4 yellow beads. And so we're going to count up 4 beads, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go through 3 of those beads. One problem that you may run into is, let me zoom in on mine. If you can see this, I have a loop here, and that was an accident. So how do we get rid of the loop? You, depending on where the loop is, if it's from this end, then you're going to pull your string on the end, but if it's not, you just pull this tighter and the bump in that string will go away after that. Also, if you wanted to tighten this up as you were going, then you would pull the previous layer, so you get rid of the excess and pull this layer, and then pull your string, and it will tighten up. You want to periodically tighten up throughout your whole thing so it stays together, or else it's going to be loose and kind of a pile of mess. So we add on our other color. So I'm doing 4 more green. And we count up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. String through 3. You see that I had to tighten that, so. But now that you can see that it starts to curl, what you're going to have to do periodically is rotate it. So you're going to pull up your end that you've either clamped or whatever, and just rotate it around. And we do that so we'll be able to see the single, so when you're weaving it through that you can see it. So you rotate it just a little bit. So continue to bead all the way around and continue to rotate it as you bead through. And when you get to the end, I'll tell you how to tie it together. An issue that happens sometimes that you can fix relatively easily is, I'm sorry I left this out the last time because I didn't think about it, but sometimes after you've rotated it, it'll end up where your string is on the inside and your loop is over here. An easy way to fix that is just take your string, go through the middle of it, pull it to the other side. That's it. We're not tying a knot, we're not doing anything, we're just moving the string from one side to the other so you can continue the spiral the same direction. But yeah, I'll see you when you guys finish. Bye! So once you have beaded all the way up to the end, what you're going to do is you're going to take your clamps off or untie your bead or whatever you did. And we're going to take this string, because I didn't go all the way up because there was nothing else to string to, so I kind of just have this end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this row and then tie a knot. So we're going through the green, the last one, there we go, pull it tight, and then you could either regular knot it or you could just tie it around. It really doesn't matter on this end. I'm gonna tie a regular square knot because I think it'll be the simplest. Okay, once you're done with that, undo the clamps on the other side. Ooh, what just happened? Okay, there we go. So we're going to pull that up. And to be able to keep the spiral, you're going to have to twist it. Because let's say that you untwist it and then you get like this goobly mess. So you have to make sure that it is twisted. You can just take the middle and rotate it. How twisted you want it is up to you. Personally, I like to twist it as much as I can. So that's how I do it. And then you're going to tie it. It's up to you how you want to connect it. If you want to actually connect the green pieces, like your last 2 rows together, or if you just want to tie the single together. Personally, I like to just tie the single together, so I wrap it as much as I can, then bring it together and tie a regular old square knot with both ends of the string, so both sides. So you're going to have 4 strings together total that you're tying together. And then do 2 or 3 knots on that. There's probably a better way to tie this, but I have not come up with it yet. If you have any suggestions, leave them down below and maybe I'll put up an annotation for it. So that's basically it. That's how you make the Helix candy. I hope that this tutorial was helpful, and I will talk to you guys later. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Bye!